Welcome to our time together on the Parsha. This Shabbos Chazon, which is taken from the Navi Chazon Yeshayahu, where Yeshayahu gives the prophecy about the future of the Jewish people, and unfortunately it's one of a lament. It's even read with the exact same trup, the exact same tune as Eicha itself. This Shabbos Chazon we read also Parshas Devorim, and Parshas Devorim also has a reference to the upcoming Yom Tov of Tisha B'Av, which in fact actually falls on this Shabbos itself. And it says, Eicha Esa Levadi. Moshe Rabbeinu says, Eicha Esa Levadi, how can I alone bear Torchachem Umasachem V'divchem? And that pasuk too is read in the tune of Eicha. And after Moshe Rabbeinu advises the Jewish people to collect and appoint for themselves judges who are capable of sharing the burden with him, he tells them and instructs them, Lo sakiru panim b'mishpat, you are not to recognize faces in judgment, kakoton kagodol tishma'un, like the small, so the big you shall listen. And what Rashi interprets this pasuk to mean, he says it has three different meanings. When it says kakoton kagodol tishma'un, it means if a case comes before you that's only worth a pruta, a penny, or a case comes before you that's worth $100, you should give it the same amount of attention, of judicial expertise. You should listen to it just as well as if it's $100, even if it's only one penny. That's koton, a penny, and gadol, the $100. Another interpretation, that if a poor person, as a koton in money, comes before you and he needs to make a parnasa and he has a court case with a rich man, here's an easy way for you to get the poor person to have a parnasa by saying that the rich man is at fault and he has to pay the poor person the money, so the poor person will be misparnes, he will get his parnasa in a nice way. You can't do that because it's against the rules, because even though the rich person is going to give the person who's poor tzedakah, you can't do that by a perversion of justice. And by the same token, you can't say that I'm going to let the rich man win the case so that I don't insult his honor, and when he goes outside the court, I will then tell the rich man that he has to give the real payment to the poor person because really he was wrong. It's just that I didn't want to embarrass him. You can't do that because kakoton kagodol tishma'un. Those are the three interpretations of Rashi. The Menachem Tzion offers another interpretation. When it says kakoton kagodol tishma'un, it means you should listen the same way as a koton hears and the same way a gadol hears. Now the Gemara in Shabbos says about a koton that girsa the yankasa lo mishtacha, that the way a child learns, it's like writing, as Pirkei Avos says, al niyar chalak, on a new piece of parchment. It's scratched in and it stays forever. We all remember the girsa the yankasa, the things we learned when we were young, and they are embedded in our mind. So you have to listen to someone, to listen carefully, to get the information clear and embedded in one's mind. But by the same token, there's a disadvantage, because even though it's embedded in the mind, the Havana, the understanding, is not the same. One does not understand when we're young, even though we may know the girsa, we may know the syntax and the language, nevertheless, we don't have as deep an understanding. While when it comes to a gadol may have deep Havana based on experience and maturity and life experience, and he may understand the issue, but he may not remember all the details in time. So the Torah is telling us that the judges have to be kakoton, kagodol, tishmon. You have to have both milas. You have to have both positive elements. Number one, to grasp and remember all the details. And number two, to be able to judge it in a mature, intelligent fashion. This ability to be kakoton, kagodol doesn't only apply to judges. It applies to us as human beings. When we deal with our friends, and especially when we talk about Tisha B'Av and we want to make the Bein Adam L'Chaveiro connections, when it comes to parents and children, rabbis and talmidim, whenever the relationship is, it's got to be kakoton, kagodol. It has to be with a little bit of youthful vigor and zealousness, with a little bit of youthful charm and desire, and at the same time, there has to be a mature level of recognition of the intensity and the depth of the other individual. And therefore, when we have these relationships and we plug in not only the youthful vigor that we have, but also the deep intelligence that comes with maturity over time, we will better be able to understand all the situations that come before us. It's both a challenge to the young and to the old. The young, that they have to think maturely. The old, that they have to be a bit more enthusiastic. And we have to try to take things in a youthful way and deeply understand and remember them, so that we have both elements of kakoton, kagodol. If we do this, we hope that the future for the Jewish people will be bright. And this Tisha B'Av, as we fast, we will take the youthfulness of the Jewish people in mind and hopefully think of ourselves as having vigor to go forward, while at the same time recognizing maturely all the things that need to be corrected. Have a wonderful Shabbos and a meaningful fast.